All right, guys, it's June 2020. Naturally, we're taking a look back at what happened in May 2020. Of course, there's a lot going on in the market, so let's just jump right into it. Overall, in the month of May, we sold a total of 1,345 properties versus in 2019, we'd sold 2,410. So that's a decrease of 44.2% in the month of May. Now, in terms of money, you can see we've gone up by 12.8% to 505,709. If we talk about the inventory, what was available for sale at the end of the month, both condo and residential, we were looking at 1933 versus 3896. That's a 50% decrease. Of course, last month in April, the number was 1920. So we're sort of hovering along that line. It's not like we're adding a ton of new inventory into the mix. The other thing we want to jump into is the absorption rate. Okay, so the number of sales, obviously both condo and residential, was 1345, and the level of inventory was 1933. That means we're still in a seller's market with less than a month and a half worth of inventory, both condo and residential. Now, if we switch sides onto the overall picture, so where we sit year to date, we've sold a total of 5,690 properties. So again, a significant decrease. And of course, that's really driven by the fact that the last 2 months, we haven't had a lot of sales. However, the average price has gone up to just shy of 500,000. That's for both condo and residential. Now, the main takeaway here is we are starting to pick back up. The bottom of our real estate curve sort of seemed to hit in April. And obviously, those bidding wars are keeping prices lifted. I think this week alone, we've been involved in probably 3 or 4 bidding wars, and they've all had, somewhere between 8 and 10 offers on those properties. So it's a very, very hot market these days. Now, the next section that we want to break it down to is the May residential section. So we'll talk about how many residential properties sold, 1,066 versus 1,857 in the month of May 2009. Again, it's a decrease of 42.6%. However, and still is the case, the average price has gone up to 548, 140. Again, you can see an increase of 11.2%. Now, the other factor, of course, the inventory, all right, it's about half of the inventory that we saw on the residential side, okay? And of course, in April 2020, the inventory was 1,564. So the inventory is actually going down in May. When you would typically see the inventory going up versus the month before, you'd normally see May inventory being higher than April inventory, but it's lower, all right? So we're definitely having an issue with the supply. The absorption rate, of course, is calculated and comes in at less than a month and a half worth of inventory. So still absolutely a seller's market. And that's why we're still seeing all of these bidding wars. All right, if we get down into the year to date on the residential side where we sit, we've sold a total of 4,319 properties, a decrease of 27.3%. And again, that's because there's nothing to buy. There's no inventory on the market. And of course, there's also a global pandemic going on. 2020 has, however, seen prices jump by 13.8%. All right, the average price of a house in Ottawa these days is $546,177. You can see it right there on the screen, and the screen doesn't lie. In the notes section, of course, the two pieces that were driving that height or growth, I guess, were the high ranch and split level homes. They went up by 20% each versus the average residential properties went up by 11.2%. All right. Now, if we get down into the condo side of things, we only sold 279 condos in 2020 versus 553 in May 2019. Again, that's a decrease of almost 50%. However, it's still the same story here. The average price of a condo has gone up to $343,598. Now, if we talk a little bit about the inventory, you can see there's less inventory. There's 53.5% less condos available for sale. And in April, again, April 2020, the inventory was lower at 356. So we're starting to see a few more condos hit the market and stick around. Of course, the absorption rate, I'm sure you can assume at this point, is still going to be low at 1.37 months of inventory with 279 sales and only 384 properties available for sale. That's like, what, a month and a third for you to be able to sell your house. So that essentially means if nothing else comes on the market, all of the condos that are available to buy will be sold in the next, 40 days. Okay. Now, if we talk a little bit about year to date, where we sit in the condo market, in 2020, we sold a total of 1,371 condos so far this year. But again, that's significantly less than we saw sell so far year to date at this point at the end of May in 2019. However, the average price still is significantly higher at close to $350 versus just under 300 in 2020. The main factor here is sort of once we'd seen those two-story condos really pushing the way and leading the way in terms of pricing, now both the two-story and the apartment-style condo are sharing that growth at 14%. So overall, the takeaway is the market is strong in Ottawa as far as prices go. In terms of number of sales, it's not. So there isn't a lot to choose from. The demand is still very high. And as a result, we're seeing bidding wars, even more than we might have seen at the beginning of this year. It'll be very interesting to see what happens over the course of the summer, to see if we actually get into more of a spring market, what we're typically used to seeing in the spring, in the summertime. So stay tuned for the next episode, and we'll break down the stats of what happened in 2020 in June, and keep a pulse on what's happening in the real estate market. Until then, reach out to me if you're thinking about buying, if you're thinking about selling. My team and I'd be happy to help. As always, the phone number is 613-314-3187. And until then, Sty Fire out.